every story has a happy ever after. And after this story,
I have a couple legs.
there's an after
we don't
party.
need a lot of stock.
Mm-hmm.
I already have veggie broth that I'm gonna add to it because we don't have really fresh vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that and see how it goes.
All right. I have every bit of confidence in you.
Yeah, I'll make it work.
Well, speaking of having confidence, I have every bit of confidence that we're going to get through this episode pretty painlessly.
Really?
Well,
Are you recording already or not?
I am.
Shit.
Hey, I'm editing, so I get to take out and put in whatever I want.
Hi, I'm Amanda Pierce, and I'm making turkey and dumplings this weekend.
Hi, I'm Sam Logston. At the moment, I am making slow-cooked pork chops. And I also have a bunch of things that I need to eat that are left over. Like last week was my week to do amazing dishes, and this is my week to make sure that it's all eaten before I make anything else.
We're still getting our home meal delivery kits. I'm not going to name names because we're not sponsored.
But I use the same one you do, and yeah, if you're listening and you know of an Amanda Pierce and Sam Logston that you deliver to, we'll sponsor you.
Yeah,
I like
totally.
your stuff.
I love it, and it's been the one thing I'll say for it is it's ensuring we are getting fresh produce and meat or meatless options because we often choose them.
I also like the
in our
vegetarian
house.
options and the dairy-free options too. Really good quality stuff.
And it's nice because there's only 2 of us, so it won't go bad. Like, if you buy a whole head of lettuce, you're either going to be eating lettuce for a week or it's going to go bad. So it's like just the right amount for the 2 of us. This is sounding like an ad.
It does. And hey Matt P. Riley, if you ever listen to my podcast, message me and see if we can get these guys as sponsors. I will do the commercial myself.
Dude, I will do it. I'll rant and rave because I pass these recipes on to other people. I tweak them to make them easier to make it. Because I'm a cook, and I love cooking, and I know you do too.
I do.
So it's not a thing of I don't know how to cook and this teaches me how. It's a thing of like, ooh, I can tweak this recipe a little bit and use chicken instead of scallops because who has scallops? And
if you know how to cook, you can easily like make these recipes your own thing without even looking at it. But like I live with my mom and she kind of does her own meal. She has like a special diet that she has. My partner though, he never really had the opportunity to learn how to cook. So like the step-by-step instructions are really nice because he can get a little bit overwhelmed. So if he wants to make something, it's really nice for him.
Dennis is kind of in that lane too. Like he can cook, but one of the tricky things with cooking is like timing stuff. And the recipes make it easy. Like this is the order you do stuff and cook it, so it'll all be done at the right time. Your chicken won't be sitting there for 40 minutes getting cold. But so
if I ever had to give one critique, always check your rice. Don't just go by the time. Check your rice first. Make sure it's done.
Yeah, and not crunchy on the bottom unless you're a freak like me and you kind of like that.
I'd love it.
I like it crunchy on the bottom with some soy sauce. I can just eat that.
Oh, I love like the soy sauce rice skin. Oh yeah. That's my jam. Okay, so Okay, well, let's start with the last episode that we did. That was a very
on Dragon Ball Z. Sorry. Yep, pretty much.
Okay. But no, it was a very substantial episode that we watched. There's a lot of substanceless episodes of Once Upon a Time.
I was going to say substandard.
Substandard, yes. But there's kind of like 2 categories of non-substantial episodes in Once Upon a Time. Most of them are filler. And this episode that we're going to be talking about isn't that. It's not filler. It is propellant. it's not a very good episode, but everything that happens in this, having seen this whole season before, it kicks off some of the best episodes. So it's not like it was a little wet fart to pad everything out to 22 episodes. Like, everything that happens in here has consequences, and you can tell because this is probably the first non-substantial episode that has a very straightforward fairy tale portion of it. The Storybook portion of it is actually pretty intricate, relatively speaking. It's very plot dense. So I think it's probably best to kind of chip away at everything that happens in Storybrooke.
Yeah.
In part because of how dense it is, but also it's David and Mary Margaret centric.
Yeah, and also
so we need to rip off that Band-Aid.
What happens in Storybrooke is kind of like the last episode, compartmentalized into, we can talk about what Emma's doing.
Yes.
Like Emma and Henry and the stranger who we learn is named August have their own kind of like plot cul-de-sac. And then kind of Regina and Abigail, David's wife, kind of have their own little thing. And then there's kind of the David and Mary Margaret bigger thing.
Yeah. So let's start with Emma, Henry, and the mysterious writer who came into town, August W. Booth.
Yup. I don't like him. God damn it. I think he's really cute too.
He's really cute, and we're not going to give away anything about this character, but he does say something in this episode that, if you pay attention to it, will make you laugh later on.
I didn't catch it, but
we'll get there. So,
listen, I scrubbed through this episode. I usually take a nap in the afternoon. And I laid down to take a nap and went, oh shit, I haven't seen this episode in like a month or two. So I started to watch it and I'm like, man, this one's really boring. And I just kind of rode that 10-second skip ahead button until the end of the episode. So
I don't blame you. And like I said,
boring.
If you're watching this for the first time, this seems like a filler episode. And I certainly felt that way. But in retrospect, a lot of the stuff that happens actually has weight.
But it's
to
like,
the future
once
episodes.
You know what happens in this episode, you're like, okay, there's like no rewatchability to it. Except for
there
the
really
Lady
isn't.
Gaga siren.
Oh,
yes. Very pretty. Does she not look like Lady Gaga?
You know what? I wasn't thinking Lady Gaga, but oh my gosh, you know who I thought she sort of looked like was blonde Christina Ricci.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. That still kind of angular
like that
face.
Yeah, very geometric, like very doe-eyed. That headpiece.
Yeah.
That was great. It hid Jennifer Goodwin's giant ears.
Yes.
If it made her look good, you know that's a piece worth talking about. I might have to look into who like does the costuming. Yeah, I kind of want to look into that. But
I wonder if they changed. Like, if the person who does the costuming changed, because Regina's costume has really changed in the past couple episodes.
They probably did, or if it wasn't like a single person, like if they outsourced it to like a different production company, there might have been like different people involved, you know. But yeah, we're gonna get Storybrooke out of the way just because it sucks.
Okay.
I'm going to really condense this into the shortest possible bit that I can.
Yeah, I'll interject if I remember anything. But I probably won't, honestly, because I don't.
That's fine. I don't blame. You know what? I'm opening up my cider because I'm going to need it for the rest of this episode.
Listen, I have a beer. I kept on leaving it to check tracking because I want to dye my hair pinkish purple. I kept on leaving the episode to check the tracking, even though it hasn't changed all day.
Yeah.
I got up to get some chocolate egg my dad left us for Easter. And it's just...
Is that Saris?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, we're allowed to name drop Saris because we're Pittsburgh locals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like a big national wide home delivery option for chefs to be able to cook.
Yeah,
but we could definitely name drop Saris.
And I don't want to say that, I don't want to besmirch the name of any home delivery meal kit people, but Saris doesn't have any grime attached to it, unlike the brand of the beer I'm drinking.
You know what?
They're not besmirched very much.
And I actually don't know enough about the people who make this cider that I'm drinking, because it's not actually a cider, it is an ale, and they make a whole bunch of really good beers, but I don't know enough about the company to fully endorse it.
Yeah.
But I'm
getting hair dye from lime crime. We all have blood on our hands.
It's fine.
I don't care. I don't give a shit anymore.
All right.
Also, I'm dealing with the first world problem. I'm sorry. I'm dealing with the first world problem. I pay for Amazon Prime, all right? I'm that bougie bitch who doesn't want to pay shipping and wants my shit in like 2 to 3 days. I wanted to get a milk frother so I could make that fancy Instagram coffee more efficiently. It's not going to be here until mid-March. So you're telling me these proletariat MFers who need like food or whatever delivered to them, who do not pay for Amazon Prime, are going to get their stuff before me? Are you kidding me? I'm sorry. And I can't complain to Dennis because he doesn't want to hear this. And I know people have it worse than me right now. But this is my John Oliver complaining about Liverpool not being able to play football right now. Like, I want my milk frother, and I want it sooner than May 15th, okay?
Oh, God.
Damn it.
I
want my bougie coffee.
God. The minute I can do it in person, I will be so happy.
I'm gonna have to use a blender like a fucking Neanderthal.
Use a whisk.
No, it takes a lot of whisking and my wrist gets tired.
Don't you have an electric one?
No.
Oh, I'll lend you mine.
We don't have an electric mixer. We don't have an electric whisk. I got like an immersion blender whisk that I'm going to use because it's 2 teaspoons of instant coffee, 2 of cold water, and 2 of sugar. So in my blender, it barely reaches the blade. So now I have to mix stuff like a caveman or wait until May. This is 2020. So I had so much first world white rage when I saw that. I was like the pumpkin spice latte girl. And then I was like, what is this turning me into? Why am I mad?
Why are you like this?
Why am I mad about it? I paid $20 a month to have to wait a month to get something I order. This is what? This is not the America I want for my children.
I realize now, like, ordinarily, the stuff like this would make me angry, but I'm not mad at you for 2 reasons. 1, because I know your sense of humor, and 2, at least you're not bitching about a dildo.
It's because the reason that you can not be mad at me for it is because I was mad for like a solid 2 seconds and then just went, what the fuck am I mad about? Like,
you are more mad about being mad than you're mad about the thing.
I'm like amused that I legit had a sense of rage for a second and was like about to call Amazon's manager and be like, what do I pay you people for? And then I'm like, don't be that woman. Like, don't be that person. Who are you? Go outside. Get perspective. They're trying to help people.
Oh my fucking God.
What do I pay you for, Amazon?
So I'm really going to condense this, not because of time, but because I just really don't give a shit. But it is semi-important. Semi.
Don't worry, if we're running short on time, I'll bitch about Amazon some more because I have complaints.
I know you do, Karen. So
my hair just got spiked up in the back and turned into a straight, like a sleek A-line bob.
It's like those lizards in the desert. It starts off kind of skittish, but whenever the manager is needed, whew.
Yeah.
So August formally tells Emma his name, and she agrees to meet up with him. And what she just kind of assumes is at Granny's for a drink, because as we all know, Granny's is the best bar in town.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, not to go on to another tangent. This is related to Once Upon a Time.
Okay.
But whenever the show goes to Granny's now, I am like turned on high alert. Like, I have like the scanner vision. I'm like, what's going on? I'm checking all the peripheries. I'm checking the background. I'm like, what is this place?
At the very least,
code.
The front is always the same. Like when it's shot from the front entrance of Granny's, it is always the same.
Do they always have outdoor seating? Because I don't think they always do.
Well, here's the thing. Like I said, when they film the front of the shop, it's always like that. Now, I'm not saying that's what it looks like when you look out the front when you're inside Granny's.
Do they have umbrellas outside or don't they? Because sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. I don't know what's going on.
I think it might be like the case of The Room, where you were only allowed to film the flower shop for so long before moving on to another location. I think they only had so many shots to film of Granny's from the front.
I'm just gonna say, in Granny's this time in the background, there were no bottles behind like the breakfast bar thing. There were instead jars of various bakery products, like biscotti or something.
You know, for the morning.
Bottles of booze were gone, and on the bar behind them and on the counter were like those jars with the glass jars with the metal lids.
Yes.
There were plates where the bottles used to be. We will crack this code. I think they're trying to send me a message.
See, the problem is I've worked breakfast shifts before, and the transition from breakfast to booze is pretty easy. Around the time that the bar is open, you're getting the maple syrup off the tables. You're making sure that the ketchup is refilled and stuff like that. So I think you just take the biscottis down and put the whiskey bottles out.
I worked at a Wendy's, so it was always booze o'clock, just not officially.
Well, when you have a flask with you, the bar's always open.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry. So yeah. So Emma just naturally assumes he means to meet her at Granny's and get a drink there. But no, when she's off work, he pulls up in a motorcycle. And he's like, go ahead and hop on. I know a really good watering hole. And he actually takes her to a wishing well. So stupid, mystical banter happens. And he says, one thing that you can always count on me for is that I always tell the truth.
Oh, yeah, he does say that, doesn't he?
Audience members, you keep that pin in there. It's not going to come out for a few episodes, but that one is for you.
Hey, do you think they're going to have a no strings attached affair?
Hey, listen, I don't see any strings attached to him.
He's got nothing. Nope.
You almost went there, didn't you?
Yeah.
JC. Anyhow, he also makes Emma drink from the well because, like I said, mystical banter happens in regards to some myth about the well being magical and being able to return lost things to you. They both have a drink of water.
And then she's like, how do you know that? I thought you were a stranger here. He's like, I read the plaque, which was
That was a good line.
Yeah.
That was funny.
That's literally all I have
That
to
even
say.
made Emma laugh. So, remember, he says that this has the ability to bring things that were once lost back to you. Now, we see him tinkering in his little van later, or wherever he is situated at. And we find out that he is the one who found Henry's book.
Yeah,
and
he's hanging up the pages and stuff.
Well,
like
he's
it's wet.
reorganizing it. He's actually adding pages to it and adding stories to it and sewing them together.
Technically story.
At least one. Yeah. I actually have no idea how many he added. This is discussed in future episodes. It's not really a spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Because, like, we keep on seeing it flashing. And if you know that, you see the pages being taken out of the typewriter and put into the book, you know what's going on.
He's got, like, an old school binding set up, and, yeah.
He's, like, sewing the book.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? That adds points for me.
That's not how anything works for me.
I know, but he's trying. He has, like, old school dad vibes.
It's not how it works. I'm, like, sitting over here, the one person who works for a publishing company, and I'm like, nah.
Well, was that how books used to be? Like, they used to actually thread it in.
Yeah, they used to have to, like, sew them up and together. Like, it was actual material. Actual tools he was using, but it's not how you would do books here in the year of our Lord 2020.
Yeah. Oh no, this is not the year of our Lord 2020. Lord checked out in 2019. He's not coming back anytime soon.
It's 20 years PC post-curse.
Post-cursed. Yes. So at the very end of the episode, Emma finds mysteriously by her car the tin case that the book was in, that Henry kept it. So to Emma, all of a sudden, this thing that was lost is once returned to her, and she gives Henry the book back.
Tim Curry returned it via the storm train.
Thanks, Tim Curry.
I'm done with your book.
Wah, wah, wah.
But and then she gives it to Henry to replace the video game Regina gave him.
Yes, the controller that might have a screen on it. I don't have the energy right now to riff on that.
Nah, who cares?
No, I don't. It's basically like we really want to give him a Nintendo DS, but we don't have the budget for it.
We want commentary on reading versus, digital media, which is hilarious coming from a TV show. But we don't really want to put any effort into it. But whatever he's playing, Emma says she played as a kid, so apparently Regina gave him a super old video game. But that was one thing I wanted to mention about it. She seemed genuinely remorseful that he lost his book.
Regina? Yeah. Yeah, so she definitely did.
She definitely hasn't lost the Regina is right about everything all the time spark that she had at the very beginning.
When we're done talking about Storybrooke, I do want to mention Regina.
Okay.
Because I am going to put a mark down in her tally chart. And I think it just kind of solidifies the point of her being one of the best thought-out characters in this show. If not the best thought-out character in the show. If
not the only thought-out character in the show.
Yes. Like, Rumpelstiltskin's good, but he can't support the show on his own. No.
He's too unpredictable.
Yes. And according to his agent, he comes with a price. So that's stuff that is going to be important for later out of the way. Now we have to talk about the love affair. the thing that me and Amanda don't like talking about, because normally we don't like talking about David and Mary Margaret, but this episode prominently features Catherine. And I gotta say, the actress does a very good job in this episode.
Yeah, she does some acting stuff that's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be giving her an Emmy anytime soon, but
yeah, she's fine.
Yeah, she's good. This episode is kind of great because it showcases how much of an asshole David is and like how wrong he is in the Storybrooke portion of it.
Yeah.
And just how unlikable this person can be. Not because he's evil, just because he doesn't fucking think about anything.
Hold on 1 second.
Speaking of which.
What? Continue. As I rustle a chip bag really loud, sorry.
Chip bag. But yeah, David is incredibly unlikable. And never fucking thinks.
Yeah, it seems like he reminds me of a lot of people I used to know on that front, where it's like, yeah, person, I'll totally do this thing you want me to do. And,
never does it.
But then, like, when he's with the other people, he's like, oh, no, I'm going to tell you exactly what you want to hear. And then go back and be like, oh, yeah, I did that thing.
Yeah. So he basically does this when Catherine says that, well, I know that we've been having some problems, and I think a fresh start would be great. I applied to law school in Boston. Mm-hmm. And she wants David to go with her. So David has to sort out all of his emotions with Mary Margaret and tell her, you know, I basically choose you over Catherine. And she's like, great. You need to tell Catherine that. The next time he sees his wife, he ducks the question so hard.
He's like, you deserve a new chance, and I can't give that for you. And does not say anything about him being a cheating cheater that cheats.
Yeah. And you know what? Even if he, like, only did a half-truth, you know...
It'd be better than hearing it from Regina.
Yes, which is exactly what happens. You know, hearing that her husband wants to leave her, she goes to Regina's house, and Regina's like, oh, that little homewrecker. And Catherine is like, excuse me? And she's like, oh, you didn't know about that affair your husband and Mary Margaret were having. And she's like, bitch, no.
Excuse me?
Yes. And she gets very distraught, goes to Mary Margaret's work, goes to school.
Slaps her in the mouth.
Yes! It's great.
Right after, I love that it's
the
right
timing
after Mary
is perfect.
Margaret gets off of the phone with David, and she's like, you told her, right? Yeah. Everything, right? Yeah. And then she just gets slapped in the face.
It's comedy gold.
And then she's like, oh, David told you. And she's like, what do you mean he told me? And she's like, wait, he didn't tell you. And she's like,
I guess he lied to both of us.
You deserve each other.
It's wonderful, just because, again, we normally hate talking about these people so much that it's like great.
In the face, so
I know.
I got baked potato chips.
So Catherine goes back to apologize to Regina for yelling at her. And did you happen to see what kind of plants she was watering? Regina.
Were they like those, it was an orchid was one of them, but they were like those tube pitcher plants.
Pitcher plants.
That's the word.
Pitcher plants, for those of you who don't know, are carnivorous plants that lure insects in with a sweet sap around their upper lid and have a lid that closes on top so that the insects will fall into the titular pitcher and drown to death.
Say titular pitcher 5 times fast.
Titular picture, titular picture, titular picture, titular picture. That was 5.
Whenever I see that, it always reminds me of that video in school, that the strange sex life of plants, or the secret sex life of plants.
Well, the name of the video was called The Secret Life of Plants. You and I dubbed it The Secret Sex Life of Plants.
I think it was The Secret Sex Life of Plants, because it was all about pollination and shit.
It was. It was The Secret Sex Life of Plants. It was the best video ever, and it gave us our longest running inside joke.
Sexual innuendo cytosis.
That never gets old.
But remember the fly crawling down the plant? It looked like a hairy leg.
Yes.
And it was like the weirdest thing ever, and I couldn't stop giggling because it was just crawling down this hairy leg plant.
You know what? If somebody like donates a bunch of money to us, like we will talk in depth about the secret sex life of plants.
Dude, we could do like a riff tracks of it.
I would love to do a riff track of the secret sex life of plants.
I don't know if it would be far
more interesting than anything we're going to be talking about in the next couple of minutes.
But I just remember that freaking leg.
Mm-hmm. But I had to bring up the pitcher plants because it actually ties in with what happens in the fairy tale portion.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, which we will get to.
Mm-hmm.
So, Catherine goes to visit Regina, and it's like, hey, I'm sorry for yelling at you. I kind of snapped, and I'm going to be going to Boston alone. But I wrote David and Mary Margaret letters. So the episode ends with a combination of 2 different things happening. The person who we will be seeing in the fairy tale portion finds Catherine's car as she was leaving for Boston that is wrecked, and she is not in her car. Very mysterious. We also see Regina using a set of bitchin' skeleton keys that have actual skeletons on them to go into David's house, take the letter that Catherine wrote him, bring it back to her, either her house or her office, and burn it.
Yeah, the letter basically saying that she forgives David and Mary Margaret and wants them to be happy.
So yeah, at the end of this episode, Henry now has his book back that's going to be giving him more information. Catherine is missing after a really bad breakup with her husband, and smacking a woman in the face for having an affair with her husband.
And everyone hates Mary Margaret, which is
Everyone
great.
hates Mary Margaret. Somebody writes tramp.
Oh no,
on
you know who it is.
Wagon. I know who it is because I caught it, and this is why I'm phrasing it the way I'm phrasing it.
Yeah, you see the spray paint.
Yeah, you see
canister.
You see Regina has the spray paint.
Yep,
in her drawer.
It's in her drawer.
And this is why I need to get the morality tally chart out, because
morality tally chart.
The morality tally chart. I don't have my pen, but that's okay because I'm still looking at this. So Regina isn't actually in the fairy tale portion again. So, which does suck, but we get a sexy siren. And more to the point, the morality tally chart is doing everything that happens in Storybrooke. Mm-hmm. So, on the one hand, she is getting rid of evidence that shows that Catherine supports the union of Mary Margaret and David, whatever.
Yeah.
That's she breaks and enters. That's bad. I wouldn't necessarily call that evil. No. She gives her son a video game at the beginning because she does seem pretty genuinely upset about destroying the playground.
Yeah. And his book is the bigger point.
Now, here's the thing. She also tells Catherine several times that she really wishes that her and David would stay together and that love takes work and all this other stuff. These are things that a nice, kind friend would say. However, she's not doing it with any kind of sincere intentions attached to it.
Yeah.
What's making me stick with moral ambiguity is hard instead of a that's nice or that's evil is the one factor that I always keep in mind, which is, would I do this for Amanda? I would absolutely write tramp on someone's car that fucked with you and Dennis's relationships.
Oh yeah.
So instead
totally.
of saying that everything she does is straight up evil, I'm putting it in the moral ambiguity is hard slot because this is our modifier.
I totally agree because it's her actions in this episode make her a bad person, but kind of a good friend.
She is a great friend out of context.
But I would say that she is, at least has some genuine friendshipy feelings towards Catherine, because earlier on, Catherine says that, like, you're my friend, and Regina looks taken aback, like, oh, I've never had one of those.
Yeah, and you have to remember, too, Regina more or less constructed all of the relationships in Storybrooke. Knowingly or unknowingly. Like, this is all her fabrication. So probably somewhere deep down, she probably really did want someone to be her friend when all of this was said and done, for someone to have some kind of, like, platonic affection for her. And it kind of makes sense that it would be Catherine, formerly known as Abigail.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I think that's why she placed herself as mayor, because she wants people to respect and like her the way, like, a mayor would be respected and liked.
It's still a power. It's a position of power. You know, when we were talking about like what makes Rumpelstiltskin such an interesting person, it's that he has like an addiction to power. He's very much like Regina in that regard, that's something that's very difficult for him to give up. And it's difficult for her too, except what power does for her is for people to love and respect her.
Yeah, I just think of the old mayor of Carnegie, how he would show up to, like, the Carnegie days, like the on the second whatever of every month, he would, like, show up and be around people. And you respected him because he was the mayor, but you also kind of liked him. Like,
he was very likable.
Yeah, I liked him. I don't know who the mayor is now.
I don't either, and I feel bad. It might as well be. Okay, so we're probably not going to be talking about the fairy tale aspect of this for very long because it's very short and straightforward. But it was also really cool. I liked this portion. You know, as much as I don't like James, the fact that it starts with him trying to find Snow White, and he's running away from Hannibal Fleeter.
Yep.
And that's Abigail's father. So she meets up with him in the woods. Like,
no,
he basically
it's not Abigail's father. Abigail's father is Midas.
Oh, Midas. That's what I meant. Sorry.
King George is from Hannibal Fleeter.
Yeah, that's his dad.
By Catherine.
Yes. Sorry. I mixed up our boys there for a second. Abigail is King Midas's daughter, which has to do with this whole fucking episode. Silly me. So he thinks he's kidnapped by Hannibal Fleeter, but no, it's actually Abigail. And he's like, hey, I'm really sorry that I don't want to marry you. My heart belongs to someone else. And she's like, TBH, same. And he's almost taken aback by that. You know, like, I think I have a problem, not with his character, but I think I actually have a problem with the actor himself.
See, I have a similar, I think, issue with Catherine, or I guess specifically Abigail in this, not Catherine. It's like they put that hat on her head and sucked out emotion.
Yeah.
She is so flat in this portion. She's so
the character is fine. Her acting in it is not good at all.
When he's like, did you try True Love's Kiss to save your boy? Her boyfriend got turned to gold saving Midas.
Oh, maybe we should explain that.
Who cares? But
well, yeah, it's the name of the episode. The name of the episode is called What Happened to Fredrick.
Baby
and
Jane.
If you remember way back in episode 4, when we get the origin story of James, Spamlet, King Midas, was, getting his gold touching hand ungloved. He's like, careful. Remember what happened to Fredrick.
Oh, he does
So
mention him by name.
We now get an answer to what happened to Fredrick.
Oh
and,
my god!
And it was explained away in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, he basically protected
he saved my father's life, and because my dad has the gold touchy hand thingy, he turned him into gold.
And he's like, have you tried True Love's kiss? And she just goes, as flatly as you can, until my lips bled.
Like how Amanda said
it. It's like, have you tried turning it off and back on again? Yes, I've already tried that, IT. Like, God damn it, just hook me up to my VPN so I can get my work done until my lips bled.
So, we talked about sirens earlier. There is a siren in this episode. The reason why we get a siren is because Abigail says to James, well, this one thing might work if you go to Lake Nostis.
Mm-hmm.
And they have some awesome healing waters there. But be careful, because everyone who's gone there has never come back alive. And we're supposed to be like... Here's the part about being a nerd that kind of sucks, is that a lot of surprises get ruined for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're like, okay, what kind of lake
it's the Lady of the Lake. It's probably going to be a mermaid or a siren.
Not only that, it's Lake Nostis. Yeah. Nostis is the Greek literary theme of a hero going back home, specifically by water. If you think of the Odyssey and Hercules, they have their own Nostis stories, and both of them involve sirens.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. But yes, obviously it's like a strong
yeah.
visual allusion to the Lady of the Lake with the swords in the water, and even the one shot is like...
Yeah. So I feel like the actress who played the siren was doing the best she can. She looked amazing.
I thought she looked good.
Her headdress was cool. They did a cool little like walking on water bit with her, where like the camera was filming her feet walking on the water, and that actually looked pretty solid. So I'm not gonna knock it on that.
If you gave me a piece of glass and 2 inches of water, I could do the same effect.
I know, but I'm just saying for what it was and the kind of budget that this show had, because all the budget went to the horses.
Listen,
that's where the budget went.
I'm just trying to Shania Twain that don't impress me much, okay?
Listen, the show doesn't do a lot of artsy things like that, so the fact that someone even thought to do that was kind of impressive. And you couldn't see the plexiglass either. That's what I was hoping for. I was like, ooh, I want to see if I can, like, catch a glimpse of, like, light reflecting.
I'd have to rewatch the episode, and I really don't want to do that.
Yeah, I couldn't find it. It's an easy trick to pull off, but I was hoping to be disappointed, and I wasn't. Now, all that being said, obviously, James kills the siren, and, he releases...
She turns into Mary Margaret.
She does.
She turns into Snow.
Yeah, she turns into Snow, and, he falls for it temporarily. I laughed my ass off whenever she pulled him down into the water and he tried swimming away. And the seaweed grew up to grab him. That's the kind of crummy visual effect I was expecting.
There we go.
I was like, okay, you had me with like the plexiglass not being able to be detected, but this is the kind of schlock I wanted to see. So yeah, he stabs her. Even as Snow, but then she like transforms back into the siren, which I'm a little bit upset about. Like,
did she die?
I like sirens. They are a cool bit of mythology, and they're also one of the they have a lot of different variations of sirens all over the place. Even the Scottish Selkies They're basically a variation of a siren if you think about it. So many different kinds of like aquatic life stuff, and probably some of the best original art pieces I've seen have been inspired by sirens. Like I love all the ones where it's like a guy close to the edge of the water and he's looking at a siren and she's like underneath the water. You can see like mounds of skeletons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's good quality art right there. So I kind of feel like the siren could have deserved a better episode. I was sad when she...
Who knows? Maybe she'll pop up back up.
Maybe...
I'm trying to see if the director has done anything in note.
Okay.
He did an episode of Pushing Daisy's Castle. He works the Pretty Little Liars. 11 episodes of this show. A show called Siren. Is it Sirens? Is that what I saw? Just kind of.
That's that's funny that that's the name, but that's a like a first responders drama.
Where is it? No, it's called Siren. A coastal town known for its legend of once being home to mermaids.
God damn it, show.
He likes filming feet on water, apparently. No one you know or care about is in it, so.
First there was the director of that Game of Thrones episode, directing the last episode, doing the self-insert things there. This feels like a little fan servicey or self-servicey. That's what I want to say. Self-servicey. Well, like I said, this wasn't a padded episode. Everything that happens in here happens for a reason. So as we go on, a lot of it has to do with everything that happened in this episode. And I'm really happy to say that the drama between Mary Margaret and David has something that resembles actual serviceable plot devices now. Because remember, everyone thinks Mary Margaret is a slut.
Well, and we have that
disappears.
We have that sweet, delicious dramatic irony too, that we know that Catherine was not mad at them, and nobody else knows that other than the missing Catherine and Regina, who ain't gonna tell anyone that shit. So everyone, the last anyone saw of Catherine, she was slapping Mary Margaret in the face and chewing her out.
Yes.
And so she's missing.
The way that all of this culminates in the episodes to come is kind of glorious. So I'm looking forward to talking about that. So even though this episode kind of was meh, I'm thankful for the road it paved, especially the next episode we're going to talk about.
It's CSI Storybrooke.
No, it's not.
It's CSI Storybrooke.
No, not the next episode.
No, not the next episode, but with her missing, it's going to turn into... Quit crushing my dreams.
I can't help it. I'm dreamy.
I want Ted Danson in here. I want
Gary Sinise in here.
I don't watch any of those shitty shows, so I can't make another. Ice-T? How about Ice-T?
We can absolutely. Oh my God. I would love an episode of Once Upon a Time with Ice-T and Giancarlo Esposito.
Wait, you mean Storybrooke? Like this fairy tale shit?
Storybrooke. There's no hood in Storybrooke. I don't see a Nancy running around here. I'm gonna file a complaint.
All white people in Storybrooke.
Except for Giancarlo Esposito. Oh my God, that's what I wanted to tell you too. I should have said this at the beginning. I've been rewatching Breaking Bad with Danny.
Really?
And the last episode of Breaking Bad that I watched had to do with his wife on the brink of figuring out what he does and the interpersonal drama there.
Skylar.
With Skylar chewing him out. And I love that tension. It's so realistic. So to go from that to literally go from the airplane crash episode of Breaking Bad to
that
this
season finale.
Yeah, to the season 2 finale of Breaking Bad to this episode, let me tell you.
I've been watching not super recently. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that is the equivalent of like having a really good, flavorful, well-crafted dinner and then having a Twinkie for dessert.
It's I've been watching. Did you ever watch Boardwalk Empire?
I haven't. Danny has. He liked it.
With Steve Buscemi. Tommy Gnosis is in it.
Oh, no way.
The kid who plays Tommy
Gnosis.
Gnosis.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's super good in it. Mm-hmm. He's only in like the first, I think, 3 seasons of the show. There are 6.
Okay.
But he's really good. But I have been like percolating a thought in my brain about why Steve Buscemi's mistress and then wife in that show is so much more likable than Skyler from Breaking Bad. Mm-hmm. And it didn't seem like there were many people on the hate train for Margaret in that show versus Skyler. It just also wasn't as popular, which I get.
I'm giving this episode a very solid 3.
I'm not gonna fight you. I want to give it significantly lower. But
I'd say like the only reason, if I was like the first time I saw this, I would have given it a 1.
For acting. Like, I understand that it's a functional episode that pushes the plot forward, but you could make it fun the way they did the Rumpelstiltskin episode.
I'm not gonna lie, forward. The 2 apples mainly came from the headpiece. And the bitch slap.
Okay, so let's do a half an apple. Let's do 1 apple for the bitch slap, 1 apple for the crown, and...
Let's just leave it at 2.
Let's leave it at 2.
Because you know what?
Give it another half, but
I'm gonna be a form over function bitch today. I'm okay with that.
No, there was a bitch slap and a cool crown, and you know what? It doesn't get an extra apple because there was no Regina in her fantasy look. But
I'm not entirely sure how to finish this up besides saying like, wash your hands.
Dye your hair a fun color if you can.
Huh?
Dye your hair a fun color if you can.
Support whatever local businesses you're able to support.
Yeah. Eat some I don't know. I have nothing. I got nothing.
Yeah, just hang in there, everybody.
Listen, next episode's gonna be more fun and kind of weird.
The next episode is one of my favorites.
Is Dreamy, it's called.
It's dreamy.
It's so dreamy.
I'll work on it.
Yeah,
anyway.
You can do it. Whatever.
It might not be the end.
Oh, shit. I forgot our sign-off thing. It may not be happy. Listen, I'm at a bottom of a beer. Give me a little bit of a break.
I'm almost out of mine, too. And you are always welcome to this party. Get yourselves beer, get yourselves tea, and you take care.
Zeno, get out of my chips.